Ah, weird. Oh, there we go. Okay. And the game is. I was wondering what the game was. It didn't want to show for a minute. What the fuck? What the fuck? All right. So everything should be working a-okay today. Should be no issues. I hope. I hope. I hope. I hope. um, yeah. So this time for real, we're gonna play Risen. Unlike the other day where it was all fucky because my internet, or I don't think it was my internet. I think it was Streamlabs being really weird. I don't know because it messed up my recordings too. After I just said fuck, I'll just record Judgment instead, and then it messed up all those. So it's like, oh good, Streamlabs is just fuck you today. That's good. Um, but yeah. Okay. I've got several games to play. I don't know. I don't know. I'll try it anywhere between like half an hour to an hour for all of them. See what all these games are like. Now, these are all games that I got codes for, either from the publisher or developer. This one I got from the dev is the publisher in this one, I think. It's one and the same. It's a self published game, as it were. It looks really cool, and it's in early access now. So if it's a little rough around the edges, then I'll give it some leeway because of that. If it would load, it's taking a little bit of time to load. Okay, there we go. Alright, you gradually regain consciousness. How long have you been out? You have no idea. Your mind is a blur, thinking hurts. All you feel is pain. Even breathing is difficult. Sharp arrows of pain shoot through your limbs like bolts of lightning. The world around you pitches and heaves. The air stinks. It reeks of sweat, dirt, feces, pus, and blood. Right, I remember reading that. It's gross. Gross. The acrid stench of vomit makes you gag. You detect the familiar scent of the sea and the sharp tang of metal. Your throat burns. Your body is heavy. You are weak. Your head is spinning. You could be floating. You do not remember the last time you ate or drank. Your wrists, ankles, and neck are attached by something smooth, hard, and heavy. It clings to your skin. Must be the sweat and dried blood. As you try to shift your aching body, you hear the clink of chains. Chains. Words are hard. A wave of panic rises in your gut. You are imprisoned. You become aware of sounds, a multitude of voices. The long, melodious crack of wood seems to echo through the roaring waves. You must be on a ship, which would explain why you are pitching and lurching. You feel no breeze upon your skin. You must be in the hold. There are people around you, whispering, moaning, crying, puking. Some speak Elvish, others use your mother tongue. You fight with consciousness. You want to listen to them, to understand what happened to you. At last, your eyelids retch apart. Light hurts, even though the place is dark. Too dark. You're lying against the side of the ship, a huge vessel. There's so many of you, a vast throng. As people stir, their chains seem to sing. There's so many prisoners piled together like merchandise. Soldiers in full armor do their rounds. You recognize them. They're Machiels from the island of Maculat. You're here at last. I was afraid you'd never wake. As you try to sit up properly, you can't see your neighbor, a tall, muscular black elf with a shaved head. He's watching you with a soft, sad expression. How are you feeling? Trembling, cannot hold back tears. Submission or sadness. Cannot hold back tears. You try to speak, but the tears flow all by themselves. You're incapable of articulate speech. The stranger shows no surprise. His eyes soften as he leans towards you. He doesn't want to harm you. He winces in pain. His wounds are hurting too. My name's Tarak, Sharpstrong. And you? What's your name? Sadness. You try to speak. You fight back the tears. You feel wretched, frustrated. Tarak leans back. He realizes you need time to recover. His keen eyes examine you. Do you remember what happened? He figures it's a no. Do you want me to tell you? As you don't say a word, in a hushed voice he carries on. The Machials have been plundering villages all along the southeast coast of Varnagal. We're just a part of the spoils they have stolen. They killed anyone who didn't interest them. Your clan, my tribe, they're either dead or locked up in one of these ships. He speaks calmly, but his face betrays his suffering. We weren't prepared. Nobody was. I knew something was wrong, but no one believed me. Sadness. More sadness. You nod, trembling all the while, feeling his sadness. New card unlocked. Compassion. The Machials chose to isolate themselves from the world for a year, I think. Maybe more. Then something happened. They were always a belligerent people, but never like this. I do not understand. A sad smile spreads across his face. The only thing I know for sure is what they plan to do with us. If we're useful, we've been kept alive. Anybody entertaining is destined for the arena. Compassion. You thank him for sharing the information and tell him that the situation must be very hard for him too. Tarek gently places the palm of his hand against his chest. He smiles. Thank you for this kindness. Silence returns. Your head slumps against the belly of the ship. Somebody yells out. You hear blows and chains clanking, sounds you already loathe. You know, however, these sounds will become only too familiar. The days roll in and out. Waters were warm, brackish. Some people get so thirsty they drink their own urine. The sick, the rebels, the rowdy, the seriously injured, they all die one after the other. The Machials throw their bodies overboard like trash. Rats are infrequent, but when they come sniffing at your feet, you feel a shameful but irrepressible desire to pounce on them and devour their flesh. You are now eager to touch dry land. It surely cannot be worse than here. You repeat this over and over like a mantra. It offers you hope. Fragile yet no doubt foolish hope. Your soul neighbor Tarek is a lifesaver for you. You speak as often as possible, and the soldiers are busy elsewhere. You don't always speak to each other. Sometimes you communicate with body language, simple gestures of support, or discreet mime games. He knows your name and scant details about you. Night feels brighter and days less of a torment. You learn he was the chief of the last tribe of Black Elves in Varnagal. He has been chained up far from his rare surviving fellows. The Machials seem to have a death wish for his species. Tarek appears to have accepted the horror better than the other survivors. Suicide attempts are commonplace around you. 13 days, perhaps 12, 14? Concentration is so hard, the heat is unbearable. Lacking water, sleep, and food, you cannot think straight. Even your dreams are erratic and incoherent. The sound of seagulls screaming has been growing since yesterday. The prisoners have stirred back into life. They all know what the sound means. Dry land cannot be far away. Tarek sleeps a lot. He is saving his strength. His wounds are now healed. He doesn't seem disturbed by your predicament and the ambient roar, as though somehow he is incapable of blotting it out. You gaze at the other dark-skinned elves. They display an astonishing physical and mental endurance. However, folk always told you that black elves were the least respected among their peers. Some high elves do not even deem them worthy of being servants. The ship begins the slow mooring maneuver, accompanied by the angry slapping of the waves against the hull. You sit up straight, perking your ears. Prisoners rattle their chains. Guards roar back in their native tongue. Some strike the ground with their spear. At first you hear nothing, and this only frustrates you more. Tarek is perfectly awake. Zanny? He is staring at you. Then he signals for you to keep calm. The soldiers are eager to disembark and finish their mission. Their impatience will only make them strike you harder. One after another, with the swift nonchalance of habit, the soldiers unchain you and escort you onto the deck. The daylight burns your eyes. You haven't seen daylight for ages. Everything is flooded in violent, blinding light, making faces pallid and sails shimmer. Unsteady on your legs, you're jostled from behind. You stumble once more. The seagull's scream pierces your ears. The deck groans beneath your feet. An official stops every prisoner to drop an inventory of the prisoners. In needs further details, he sometimes exchanges a few words in the captive's language. Maybe he's looking for shapeshifters, Are they worthless to them? Or perhaps more valuable? You have no idea. He seems to be calculating something, evaluating your sell-on price probably. It's your turn. He looks you up and down. Female? Human? You protest you're not female despite your appearance. The man is taken aback. He didn't expect such a vehement retort. Your guard slaps you so violently, starts to swim before your eyes. The official bursts out laughing. He grabs your chin with contempt and stares at you with a huge smile. A freak. There's always one. He releases you, then wipes his fingers on his hip. Come on, mutt, entertain me. If you're not female, what are you? You answer, hesitantly, that you see yourself as gender neutral. The man's mirth seems boundless. His laughter mingles with the squawking of the birds and the soldier's muffled snickering. You feel nauseated, another humiliation. Why don't you hold your tongue? Because you can't bear it all. But now you're scared. Your limbs are shuddering uncontrollably. You have been too impulsive. You know very well what people like them do to people like you. The different ones. So much. I won't detain you any longer. I have work to do. There are many more wretches like you in line. He speaks to the soldiers. I know how much you want to return home. It shall be brief. The Machiels thank him in their strange language. The official comes back to you and breaks into another cruel grin. If survival in the arena seems impossible, try to at least entertain the spectators. You seem to have a talent for it, slave. Rebellion. You begin to insult the man for his lack of humanity. You try to break free, to harangue him at closer quarters. You yell out as a spear digs into your shoulder. You fall. Or were you pushed? There are people yelling, others laughing. The ground is hard, the impact violent. Their fists rain down upon you, ironclad feet flapping from all sides. Your nose explodes, or is it your teeth? The world is red and black sounds mingle. Somebody drags you up by the neck. You don't have the strength to fight. Your guts surge from your belly in a vile, gorging splurge. Your body is replaced by pure suffering. The rope tightens around your neck. They're going to use you as an example to everyone. You're going to die. Well, okay. Don't rebel, I guess. What the frick? Okay, well, we'll just go back to that. Alright, should we just hide then? You nod and lower your eyes. The official notes something down. He has less interest in you. The soldier understanding is finished. They kick you behind the knees. You fall against the rail, your mouth fills with blood. Complaining loudly, they help you up if only to keep things moving. Soon you're on the dock with the other slaves. You slowly grow used to the light. The docks are packed with soldiers, weapons, luggage, and the spoils of war. A host of ships spills forth in its copious beauty. You know where you are. Gafan Ar-Irsh, the military nerve center in Makulat. Its high fortifications, the color of sand loom over you. Its narrow streets overwhelm you. Somebody ties all of you together. There are soldiers everywhere. There is not a breath of air. The heat is already unbearable, but you trudge on. You do not have the choice. Tarek talked about the arena. Is that where you're going? The dry, salty air scratches your lungs. The Machiels proudly greet their fellows when they meet. You hear congratulations, cheering, and applause. A historic day for the nation, they seem to be saying. There's something wrong. Did your people lie to you all these years? Since when have Machiels become monsters? What did you do to them? Why did they look down at you as if you were dirt? Why? Gafan Ar-Irsh is surrounded by 2 rows of high walls. Between these walls are deep trenches like empty moats. It is enclosed overhead by a thick metal structure. This opening is used as jail for future slaves. One by one, you are dropped into the cage down below, like coins into a well. The ground is made of bare stone. Through the hatchway, they toss you down flatbread and a flask of warm water. You pounce on it greedily. The stone here is superbly sculpted and the bars finely carved. As cages go, it's magnificent. A fat lot of good this does you, though. On your right is Turok. Soldiers point him to their colleagues with contempt. On the left is another black elf. He too is tall and muscular, but he is not as impressive a stature as his chief. He gazes at the sky as it turns foreboding shade of pink. His face is a picture of sadness and desperation. Sensing you are watching him, he lowers his head and stares at you. Yes? His tone is abrupt. You reach out to touch the metal bars and whisper to him how he seems so sad. You ask him if he wants to talk about it. The stranger trembles almost imperceptibly. He shifts one leg back, his dancer's body faintly lit by the dimming light. He peers at you for what seems an eternity without saying a word, then laughs in disillusion. Sorry, I can't quite believe it. There is kindness to be found in this hellhole? He steps up to the bars. You see his fresh scars. He too has suffered. I can't wait to die. And you? Get back to the family. Forget everything I've seen, everything they've done. Rejection. You move closer, whispering that you understand his pain. You tell him there is still hope. Suddenly, he rushes towards the railings, making you recoil in haste. He clenches the bars in his hand. He's trembling, his sticky hands are bleeding, his whole body is shaking, consumed by pain and rage. For a few seconds, you stare at each other, motionless. Then the elf releases the bars with a deep sigh. Thank you for what you're trying to do. He wipes his face and turns his back on you. We must look out for each other tomorrow and try to survive together, and, if we don't, we shall not fall alone. The young black elf senses your gaze upon him. His back is trembling. Weirdly lifted that still torments him so. He sighs again and looks behind him. There's distress, shame, and despair in his hazel eyes. However, while he keeps staring at you bashfully, you feel something changing. His features contracting, then relaxing, then before contracting again. It's like he's trying to tell you so much that you cannot hear. The silence is crystal. How much time has passed? Night has fallen so quickly. You rub your burning eyelids when you look up. The elf is sitting in one corner, wrapped in a kind of silent prayer. You drop with fatigue, but your heart feels less heavy. You're not alone. Have you made a new friend? As you fall asleep, you can make out elvish whispering around you. The black elves are communing together. Surely a tribute to the dead. They do not disturb you for long. You are far too tired. Throughout the night, however, you are woken by hysterical sobbing, screams of pain, the clang of a blacksmith's hammer, and the drunken song of soldiers. When you wake up at dawn, you cannot get back to sleep. You feel heavy-headed, tense, weakened, and irritable, a chaotic fugue of emotions. Today your fate will be decided. Your neighbors are whispering in Elvish. Tarek seems to be encouraging and reassuring his fellow. The sky is purple, pink, and gold. The wind shrieks in your ears. While you come to, the black elf seems less attentive as he was in this exchange with his superior. He struggles to conceal that he is not really listening anymore. He eventually brings the discussion to a close, telling Tarek that he was rude last night, and he has only just realized. He prefers his name Coda, or Battle Drum, and asks for yours. Tarek is not offended. The grate above you opens up. They let down a ladder. Their bows are pointed right at you. Obedient, submissive, and wary, you climb, rung after rung. Two of them tug you up by your arms to hasten your exit. The wind lashes your bare legs, your tattered clothing stinks, your hair is a sticky clump. The sand stings in your nose. Soon the soldiers have forced you out. They put you in a line to chain you up. The march to the arena begins in eerie silence. In spite of the hour, a crowd is gathered. People have risen early from their beds to enjoy the show. The morning air is cool, for now. It seems like the trail is never ending. But then the arena homes into view, a magnificent mass of cream-hued stone decorated with colorful mosaics. You had all you heard about the arena. You thought at the time that they held honor duels, practice fights, or exhibition events. Maybe it was the case back then. Today, the atmosphere is very different. Everything runs like clockwork. Arena staff, or the soldiers, they all look the same to you. Usher you through a huge gate, and then separate you into two groups. Some take the staircase to the right, some to the left. Armed guards are waiting for you. They're all wearing golden collars and move with mechanical gestures. They shove each of you into a vaulted corridor locked by a heavy metal gate. The air reeks of sweat, leather, metal, and fear. When the gates open, you shall advance. They speak your language with a slight accent, whether they like it or not. The man behind you raises a pitchfork in the neighboring corridor. You hear another human whispering a prayer. A gong chimes, the crowd roars, the drum beats 30 times. The gate opens, in pours blinding light. The pitchfork stabs at your legs, you lurch forward trembling. Some must have refused to move. Soon you hear the first sounds of metal piercing flesh, first screams. And here you are. Tarek emerges from the crowd, Coda by his side. Are you ready? They have both picked up weapons from the city ground. The filthy blades are rudimentary armed weapons, both holding them seems to have given the two elves hope again. Ready to fight. You are ready to fight. The Colossus smiles at you. Come what may, he will accept his destiny. Coda, meanwhile, seeks out something on the ground. That is good to hear. Soon Machiav will find out what stuff the humans and elves from the southeast are made of. Kodo comes back with a weapon, hands it to you without a word. He seems tense, almost angry, as though he's burning inside. The gong chimes once more. The crowd yells, snarls, and pounds his feet like a monstrous beast. The sun blinds you. The hit hits you like a fist. In your hand is a weapon. You have no idea how you came by it. Everything's moving so fast. Fight on the front line. Whoop, whoop. You fight on the front line. You want to strike out, take the blows, and give as much as you can take. Spectators are at fever pitch. They throw fishnet bags of food into the arena. Fight. You fight off the beasts and slaves to fill your empty belly. You've been wounded in the hip by the powerful swipe of a claw. Your fellow fighters in the arena managed to beat back the lion. For that, you look for a ready defensible position. The drums start pounding again, this time with a different and livelier beat, then slower and slower. The gates open once again. A multitude of slaves with gleaming necks spill out. They drive away the last of the beasts, pick up the weapons from the ground, and start piling the corpses in the cart. The crowd cheers haughtily, satisfied with the show. You stumble toward the exit like a motherless lamb. You're heading to the slaughterhouse, but it was locked in the pen. Soldiers surround Turok. He lowers his weapons and drops them on the ground. The surviving Black Elves protest, become agitated. Try to move toward him. The chief gestures them to calm down. No use. Some lose their temper and the soldiers brutally punish them. Only then does the warrior stir. He straightens and resignedly stares the soldiers in the eye. They take you out of the arena back into the street. Outside, you cross paths with warriors, blacksmiths, combat instructors, and magistrates. The clang of blades occasionally cuts through the yelling of the training recruits. Here you're in the army dominion. You encounter more slaves. One of them, a woman, slows and looks you straight in the eye. It's as if she's trying to warn you. Your deal has only just begun. It must be around noon. The sky is a brazen blue. You relish the fresh, soothing air in the narrow streets. Every inch of your body hurts. As you limp forward, pain gnaws at your shoulder. The survivors are escorted to the marketplace, where there are people fiercely haggling and inspecting fragrant oils. You hear the bleating of sheep and folks eating each other above the hubbub of the crowd. Here everything is merchandise. You are alive, that much is true. But now, you and your companions are nothing but chattels. Chattels? Chattels? I don't know. The soldiers escort you to a section of the marketplace dedicated to slave trading, where there are raised platforms with alternating rows of cages. The place is cramped. The barking of the merchants extolling their products fills the air. There are many in conversation. Soldiers' purses exchange hands, and your group is quickly split up, funneled away like bushels of grain. You climb a set of varnished wooden steps before being attached to a gleaming chain by a half-elf. By lucky coincidence, you end up next to Coda. You notice sparrows of brain in his hair, and his arm is hanging awkwardly. Oh god. Hey. The Hive standing in front of you is carefully examining his new acquisitions. Once the soldiers are gone, he comes to talk with each of you. While the merchant is busy himself with the others, Coda opens his mouth for the first time since you left the jail. You're a good warrior. I know one when I see one. You fight like me. You rush in headlong, leave everything you've got. My best friend always told me it would cost me my life. Today, that wouldn't have bothered me. He laughs trollously and pauses for a second. I can't believe we survived. He laughs nervously. I wanted to die a free elf. Now I live as a slave. Doesn't that make you mad? Compassion. You pour off a weak smile and silently reach out your hand for him to hold. The black elf takes your hand in his with all the gentleness his wounds allow him. His hand is hot and clammy, its skin rasping. The soft expression in his eyes makes you forget the hurt within you. As he stares at you, his features tense in pain. Danny. A sharp thwack suddenly startles you both. One of the merchant's free servants has struck his staff on the ground. He gestures you to split up immediately. The black elf moves away, muttering between his teeth. At least he seems calmer now. The merchant does not speak to all the slaves he examines. The woman to your left spits at him. He gracefully dodges the spittle, and with his fingers traces an elegant circle in the air. A jet of bright green acid sprays from nowhere, showering the woman. She howls in pain, convulsing as her skin sizzles. Her face and chest are now speckled in small round scars. Unfazed, the higher folks pass you, encoded without a word. He's just about to leave, and two people climb onto the platform behind him. Goamelantra? They're a man and a woman. He is a human and she is a high elf. She calls the merchant by his name, and the merchant suddenly spins around, his extravagant robes flying about him. Ingwil Amadarth, my dear, you're here. What a pleasant surprise. He bows slightly to the woman and nods to the man. The elf bows back in the same graceful manner. Gawamel, let me introduce Bael Oris Noktar, a friend of mine. You cannot tell if the warmth that nobles in the voice is genuine or feigned. I have personally recommended your services to him, which is why he chose to join me today. The two men greet each other more formally. The human casts a swift eye over the slaves lined up against the wall. Igwanil tells me you're a man of sound advice, and that your prices match your recommendations. I couldn't promote myself better. As it turns out, I've just received a marvelous shipment from the coast. Mainlanders who have set foot for the first time on a beautiful island. And foreigners? Igwanil raises one skeptical brow and wrinkles her nose. Is that a problem, lady? Perhaps you'd prefer the reassurance of the local products? The familiarity of the servitude makes them so much easier to deal with. By your side, Kodo grinds his teeth. The human examines you with renewed interest. When his eyes meet yours, he instantly turns away toward the merchant. You mean they only recently became slaves? He runs his fingers through his beard pensively. They have everything to learn. They will rebel. They'll be unruly. They don't know our customs. They don't speak of Makial, and the humans might not even speak Elvish either. They can no doubt learn, my dear Bali. If I may call you by your name, you're speaking the common tongue right now, and everyone in Makiat speaks it. Is it really an obstacle? I confess that, personally, I prefer my servants to remain ignorant. It keeps them from prying into my affairs. Belmel then launches into a lengthy and passionate explanation of the benefits of buying prisoners of war as slaves. The two listen attentively. They're probably familiar with the habits of high society. You cannot tell if they believe everything, the part or none of what the High Elf is telling them. When he was finished, both confer in silence. Bali motions towards you with a slight nod of his chin. What was his voice again? I already forgot what it did. I don't know. It's hard reading the voices right now in the first place. Oh my god. I know what's up, like, as I'm talking more and more, I feel my nose stuffing up, and I'm like, oh, god damn it, I'm like getting sick. The worst timing, I'm getting sick as I'm streaming and reading stuff. What can you tell me about this one? Are you interested in this one? Three of them step towards you. It is true, she has most interesting merits. My sources at the arena spoke highly of her courage, endurance, and fighting spirit. It all depends on what you intend to use her for, my dear Bali. Oh, it's not the perfect description of what we were looking for. And do you like the way she looks? The High Elf thanks his friend with a gentle but sincere bow of the head. Thank you for your suggestion. She examines you coldly. I have to admit, I still prefer a human appearance over that of inferior races, but she is undoubtedly not so bad looking. If you want her, she is yours. Personally, I find her neighbor just as pleasing on the eyes. The man speaks with the same nonchalant air, as though they are discussing a fresco. The high elf has a self-satisfied smirk. That is the deal, then. You're coming with me. She peers at you for a second, then turning to Gobblemail. Have your servants ready, huh? How much do I owe you? 800 gold coins. I didn't know you had a sense of humor. You step away to negotiate your sales price. Bali does not seem in any way displeased. He talks to Coda in the same way he addressed you earlier. You realize the High Elves do not even pretend to notice your friend. And thereas, he is with even less than a mainland human, which says a lot. I'll follow you. You, at least, do not treat me like just another slave. Of course. Bali waits the servants untie you, pull you to your feet, and wash you down with a bucket of soapy water. You spit, shake yourself, and shudder as the cool water hits your skin. A few minutes later, you're back in the street. Igmanilla slipped a glove onto the hand holding your iron chain. He was talking cheerfully with Bali, who was Coda by his side. You're too weak to think. You don't know what happened to you. You're so exhausted. Act 1. Oh wow, so we're just now getting to Act 1. That was the prologue? Damn. I was gonna end. Because I have more. Oh, did it just auto save, I guess? Save? Okay. I guess it auto saves? When I. Or whatever, I don't have to choose like a thing, I just press the button. Okay. Yeah, I wanna. That's pretty cool. It's interesting. It's a little rough, but it didn't capture it in the thing when I was just starting it up. It didn't show it, but there's a content warning at the beginning of the game, uh, which seems, yeah, absolutely fucking necessary. Like, holy shit. Um, yeah, wow. But that's a pretty interesting game.